Welcome. Movie critic one day, back again. Man, y'all know what time it is. It's the October Spooktacular, Part 2. That's right. All the movies that I've done last year, I'm back. Some of them with sequels, others with movies that are kind of just like the ones I did last year. So, like I said, got a lot of good feedback. Gotta work on these subscribers. We gotta get more subscribers. We'll be out here campaigning, so y'all show me some love. But back to the business, as I like to call it, and we're gonna start this Spooktacular Part 2 with scary stories to tell in the dark. I originally wanted to do this one last year too, but I just really couldn't get it out in time. I had a lot of other classics that I really wanted to push forward, and that's kind of what I did. So it felt good to come back, watch it again, because that's what I do, and just kind of get another perspective of it, because I seen it last year, but watching it again, kind of noticed some other things, different themes that we're going to talk about. But of course, we're going to do our usual review, skim through the movie, not give out major parts, but give out some good parts that'll make you be a little interested in it if you wasn't before, and hopefully it'll get you to check it out. So let's get it, right? Okay, so Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is actually it's actually directed in 2019. It made over $106 million, and it is kind of in that horror mystery genre. I tend to like movies that's based off of books when they're done right, and this one I felt was done right. I have not read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. When I was in school, Goosebumps was our thing. Kind of show how old I am, but that was the scary stories all came out of Goosebumps. So that's what we learned. But coming upon this, I see it's a new generation, and it looks like it's pretty interesting. Very nice stories from the ones that came out in the movie. It was directed by Andre Overdale. He actually directed The Autopsy of Jane Doe. If you haven't watched that, I'm going to try to get a movie review up on it. Very nice movie that I liked as well. It's adopted from the book of the same name, as I said before, very popular with the generation, I'll say, after me. We got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb and 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. I kind of looked at it and I couldn't find any actors with previous experience or any actors that you can say blew up off of this movie, so that's why I'm not going to name any. No disrespect. If you did and I missed it, apologize. Sorry. I am the research team. This guy right here. Whole research team. So, anyway, we begin the story, bullies, nerds, and I believe it's set in 1968. I didn't notice that the first time I watched it, or maybe I thought it started in 68 and then it came to the future, but it actually is set in 1968, so keep that in mind the whole time. The plot of the movie, of course, is it starts with us meeting Stella, Chuck, Ramon, and Augie. 4 cats, they're pretty nerdy. Stella, Chuck, and Augie end up pulling a prank on the town bullies where they actually hit them with a flaming bag of poop. Classic. And it actually lands on the bully's lap while he's driving, swerves the car, messes up his car. He's a jerk anyway. But they end up chasing the kids through an outdoor movie theater where they run into Ramon, who they don't know it, but he's actually dodging the draft just because he's seen his, I believe it was his brother, he seen his brother die out there. Well, his brother didn't come back, so let's just say it like that. And he's terrified. He doesn't want to go. So they end up getting in his car. The bullies come. And Ramon just kind of, like, hey, y'all get away from here. Like, bully's the bully, which you have to do to a bully. Bullies go about their business, and the kids kind of start talking, become friends, and Stella, said, well, why don't I show you, about this haunted house? So they go to the haunted house, which happens to be the house of a family that did some real bad things to their daughter and to the town. When you get into, as you'll see in the movie, it's really messed up stuff. But anyway, they go in the basement, they find a book, and there's a lore about a girl that was kept down there, and all of her stories ended up coming true. That's the backstory. So that happens. The bullies end up finding where they are, trap them in the basement, and this kind of gets the book started on being a main focus in the movie. So after that happens, we have our main bully, Harold, who likes to beat up on a snowman. But as you often find, most bullies come from a place where they're either not loved or they themselves are being bullied. And it seems like his mom was a real, just not nice person. And he ends up having to, I guess he's picking up golf balls and stuff at the field. So I don't know what she had him out there doing. But the point is, Scarecrow, the book turns the Scarecrow to life. And the Scarecrow ends up killing him, but instead of killing him with like his blood coming out, every time it stabs him with a pitchfork, it's like more hate goes into him, and he eventually becomes a scarecrow. So I guess that's much worse than dying, right? Being a damn scarecrow. So that's when they first kind of realize the power of the book. But you know how it goes in the beginning. First death. Nobody believes it's real. So the book keeps going. The next victim is our guy, Augie. Augie gets a title called The Big Toe. And apparently, he's supposed to be eating or digesting a dead person's toe while the corpse of that person is walking around saying, where's my missing toe? Who's got my missing toe? So, crazy as it sounds. So, that spirit kind of ends up taking over his house. The toe ends up in a stew. He ends up eating the stew, spits it out, then throws it out. Tries to hide from the spirit of the... Listen, I want y'all to listen here. Don't ever hide from a malevolent spirit under a bed. You're just asking for a jump scare. So anyway, he tries it, but you know what happens. The spirit gets him, and it like takes him to some crazy place under the bed that exists in another dimension, because it just looks like he's in the bed. He's just under the bed, just clawing his way, and then he just disappears. And dead, book killed. So now things are starting to get real, and the kids are starting to realize that this book has something unique going on about it. Okay. Next up is Chuck's sister, who is actually dating the jock that got turned into a scarecrow. But she realized he was an asshole and then decided to, abandon him. He ended up abandoning her and left her with her little brother in the band of misfits. So she's going to do a little play for the school the next day, and she's realizing that she has a big zit on her face. So So she's playing with it. She's trying to, pop the zit or whatever. And everybody in the background, that all the other students participating in the play, begin to kind of, like, what's that on her face? Like, how high schoolers do. Well, it just so happens she goes into the bathroom, starts playing with it again, and all of a sudden she sees, like, this little leg come out. So she starts, kind of tearing at her skin, and next thing you know, it's a spider's nest. So she has a bunch of spiders just pouring out her face. However, her friends do come in the nick of time to kind of save her. Her little brother comes in with a mop water bucket, hits her with the mop water, and kind of frees it, because none of it is real. They can see it, but nobody else can. It's one of those, movie magic type of things. So she actually survives this ordeal and is put in a mental hospital, because they're like, you keep saying you got some spiders running out your face, but we don't see no spiders. So the kids, now understanding exactly how serious it is, decide to go and find out exactly what the hell happened to this little girl that made her stories come true, and why is she still writing them? How is she still writing them? So, of course, now listen, if you know me, you know I'm not a big fan of having what's basically a slave made kind of thing, but that was the angle they went with. Plus she knew voodoo, which is kind of like what are you trying to say moment. But I'm gonna let it slide, because that's not what this movie is about. So they go talk to the lady who was actually a child with the other girl who was stuck in the basement. So she knows more than anybody else about what was really happening, and she's telling them it was some foul things going on in their family. Well, they end up having to go to the psych ward where the little girl was kept, and that's where they find out that her family was actually poisoning the city's water. The little girl knew about it and was going to expose them, so they kept trying to play her like she was crazy. And they kept her in a basement, locked up, and pretty much tortured her down there. The only thing she had was the book, So, next up, unfortunately, is our boy Chuck. Now, Chuck has been saying that he's had a dream about a red room. And he was like, somebody's been chasing me in my dream, and it's like really scary to me. So, for some strange reason, they split up. Ramon and Stella go one way. Chuck decides to stay because he is scared that he is going to die. You would think he would be smart enough to stay with the people who aren't next, and hopefully they can help you. But you know how it goes in horror movies. So Chuck eventually runs into what? That's right, the Red Room. As soon as they figure out that those kids aren't supposed to be there, they sound the alarm, which in turn turns everything red. So he's going out one way, and he starts to see this figure. Just looks like kind of like a woman with a regular face, regular body. He turns, goes right, it's the same woman. Turns around, goes back, same woman. To the left, same woman. Now the crazy part is they're all walking forward. So he eventually keeps going in a circle of nowhere until all four figures have him surrounded and eventually just absorb him into nothingness. Probably one of the scariest deaths that I could say is in this movie, because it's just inexplicable. And boom, Chuck is gone. So next up, Ramon decides if they split up, then it's gonna be harder for the book to make a story and kill him. But the book is not playing any games. It immediately gets on Ramon, and it's meet the Dodie Walker, something like that. But it's basically a person or a being that can put itself together and take itself apart. Now, this is one of the best scenes in the movie because they get arrested, but they're really just in holding cells. And all the cops are gone. It's late shift. There's just one cop there, and all the lights go out. Stella opens the book, and another story is being written. All you see is a head roll into the sheriff's leg. And he's like, what the hell? And then a bunch of body parts just start dropping. Man, this thing puts itself together, and it is just outrageously ugly, vicious, and just disturbing. And it actually can talk, and it calls Ramon a coward because, of course, he was dodging a draft. So it lets you know that all these figures are playing off of people's fears. That's the whole thing with the book. It figures out your fears and it manifests them. So, of course, the walker kills the cop, like just snaps his neck. And then it goes after Ramon, but through the bars it like can make his face skinny, and all its other body parts just fall off and then come back on. Luckily for him, Stella gets by the dead cop, gets his key, unlocks her cell, unlocks Ramon's cell, and while the thing is still stuck in between the bars, they escape the precinct. Ramon splits up with Stella, tells Stella go back to the house and try to find out if they can talk to the dead girl and get her to lift the spell. He decides to take a cop car, driving, trying to get away. You know what happens. The monster just like lands on the cop car, is in the windshield. He ends up mashing in between the car and the 18-wheeler, gets out, and of course he's by the residence, with the monster still chasing. Stella, however, makes it to the house. She actually talks to the spirit of Sarah Bellows, who was stuck down there for so many years and tortured. And she basically makes a deal with Stella that she's going to tell everybody Stella's real story, that she's really a hero, not a crazy person. And she will continue to write stories for Stella in the future, for Sarah in the future. And Sarah agrees with it. She tells her, you gotta drop your blood on this. And what she does, everything kind of goes back to normal, except what already has happened is final. So Ramon decides to actually go enlist himself and does not dodge a draft. He actually goes into the military. And the last scene, of course, is with Ruth, who survived the spider attack, and Stella traveling with the book, trying to figure out where their friends are. So like I said, remember, Augie was taken under the bed and Chuck was absorbed. They're not, I guess they're saying they're not physically dead, they're just maybe in another dimension. I don't know. I didn't read the book, so I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is that's the way the movie went, which is obviously pushing for a sequel. I checked, don't believe there's a sequel in the making as of now, but that could be a year or two ahead. I have no idea. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up on this review. This movie was excellent. It was actually PG-13, which I think is why they kept a lot of blood and gore out of it. but it works because it forced them to use practical effects and jump scares to kind of get you in the mood rather than just seeing blood and gore, which is always a great substitute. So basically, you know what it is. It's time for that review, time for the ratings, and it gets not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Scary Pumpkins. Very nice. Recommend you go see it, especially if you're in that Halloween spirit. Y'all know how we do. So until the next time, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do. Leave me some comments. And then back. Peace.